Good evening, it's Joyful Christian Hermit. Well, once again, gotta just keep turning to the Lord. I know I'm going through a rough time. The pain has ratcheted up quite a bit, and it is affecting me. I know it is. Sleep deprivation is catching up, although last night I had a very good sleep. I am overpeopled. I did have the other woman come this evening because I felt sorry. I felt she needed that. And I saw the neighbors leave. She looked over. It's just like, why aren't you at work on the stones? But I have to just accept this is a shock. It's another shock for me to realize that here is this other person who I hadn't figured it, that is also very bothered when things aren't done fast and haven't been. Even though the house is an okay color, I'm changing the color to something more attractive and more saleable for when I need to sell. And that decision was made prior to my daughter wanting it. So, I'd already started on it. So it's a matter of just adapting to so much so fast here. And I know that part of it is how my brain is functioning differently and increasingly so. And I don't know where it's going with it, what kind of progression this is going to have in my brain. Like I had a balance issue with the dog. I got the dogs to the dog park. They deserved it. They needed it. And I asked the Lord, give me the strength to get them there. It's only a mile away. So off we went. They had a great time. And there were a couple of younger women there, young women. One had a daughter and the other had a son, and their little dogs. And it was interesting, their conversation, saying that their mothers had damaged them because she was narcissistic. Each of them had different mothers, but both of them happened to be narcissists. And the one gal, I trusted her and believed her. They had to break away from her mother last fall, about a year ago, and how hard it was. So that was, there's just a lot of people with a lot of problems and disorders out there, increasingly in women. And I don't want to be among them. Thank you very much. So, I know the unsettling aspects of the devil: chaos, confusion, and catastrophe. And when you're in it, you may even recognize that the devil's involved, but you may not recognize, at least for me, that I'm not as logical as what I think I am or would be normally. So that is something to recognize when you're in demonic assaults, especially of this type involving people and situations. Not light. And I find this really far more challenging when the devil does his surprise and shock and awe type of tactics, through dreams and through waking you up and there's flames across the bed, or he's sitting on you and you can't move. It's very shocking. It's the surprise element he uses, but you recognize, well, this was a dream, or this is fantastical, and innately God helps. He helped me just with the thought given me. Hold out in my mind the rosary, or make the sign of the cross in your mind. And the devil fled when I, in my mind, held out a rosary. Off he just went, boom, like that, and I could move again. So then there's the demonic assaults of Well, these really, I think, are the most treacherous when the devil is using others or using situations and we aren't necessarily expecting it at all, or we know that it can happen, but when it does, tend to lose logic and common sense or reassurance. You get sucked into the vortex of chaos, confusion, and the catastrophe element of it. And then when you come out, excuse me, I'm having my itching symptoms tonight, my skin. So, even that, I'm, everything in my life now is being sort of ratcheted up. And I think it's a spiritual thing. I think part of it is God allowing this. It's to strengthen our faith, to teach us much about evil and about how to deal with it. And I don't think I've been dealing with it very well, frankly. And the times that we are vulnerable, most vulnerable to evil, is when we are tired or we are sick or are in pain or super busy. I'm thinking of people out in the world more. When you're under pressures of your job or your work or your family or things like that, then the devil has more inroads to do whatever level of demonic assault. And again, from the different types I've had of assaults, including, invading the emotions, the memory, twisting the memory, or bringing up things repeatedly that had been resolved but are still in the memory, of course. What are some other ways? Well, I mentioned emotions. Using bodily senses, affecting our senses, inner and outer. Images coming to us in dreams. So all those different avenues the devil has. But for me, the most difficult thus far, and I can't think of really other ways that the devil might attack, are these that are using other people or situations. Now, the devil isn't using my neighbor. She's really not doing anything wrong or horrible. I just didn't realize this aspect of her personality, of being very determined. And because last year she wanted to get a group to paint my house. And I, no, I need to do this. And I'm realizing when I got away to the dog park that I think I'm going to have to find some way to tell her, no, thank you. If I need your help, I'll ask later. But I need a chance to do it myself. And with my grandson, as planned. He's going to be finishing up his last 2 or 3 years of college. He's changed departments, changed studies. So he had 2 years to finish if he had stayed in his journalism and media lane. But now he's going more into the sciences. So he has to do an extra year probably, but it's fine. He's got the right area for him. I know that. I'm assured of it. So this is good. And he's fine with the extra year that it will take. He's very bright. He'll get through it fine. But he really was he wants to earn the money. And the idea of helping me paint the house really appealed to him. That will give us a chance to talk. And I don't know how this arachnoiditis and my brain is going to progress. I don't know what avenue it's going to take. If it's going to do something quickly and I won't maybe be even able to talk with my grandson or have a relate with him or anything. I realize I really want this time alone with him. And I don't care if he only comes once or twice a week for 3 or 4 hours. Because I can't work solidly every day. I wipe out like I was today. Just zapped. Even though I slept the best I have in as long as I can remember. So I'm just going to have to maybe ask her, please. No. And the motive, I'm interested in motive and in the essence, the spiritual essence of things. If it was of a healthy reason, but not based on her psychological, her own temperament needs, that she wants things done now, and now is in yesterday, and it bothers her how someone else has it. See, that's not healthy for her. And it's the wrong approach or reason. I do all for God here. The stonework I do will be filled with prayer, contemplative prayer, and if God wishes and grants me the grace, He'll take me into unitive prayer. But that's a task also that requires intellect, figuring. I have to cut the, they're not tiles, but they're similar. Cut the false stone. They're like ledger stone practically. To fit around the windows, for example. I'll start the first level, I figure it out. Then the third piece I'll have to take a 4-inch one and cut lengthwise an inch off, or maybe even an inch and an eighth. I'll know better when I get up to it, and I can measure exactly under the window and between the last tile or the last stone that I place beneath the last row. So it takes some skill and thought. And I can't operate well with somebody else needing me to help her, do the caulking or figure it out or, make sure she's not letting it drip. I don't know how she paints. The caulk is going to be difficult because it's a very gummy, thick, sticky. I have gloves she can wear, but I don't want to have that distraction. When I do my work, I'm a hermit. Also, I need the solitude. I need the solitude with God alone. And this is getting to be too much. I'm going to have to explain to her and ask her to please just wait. And if I need the help, if something happens to me, that I'm incapacitated for 6 months or something, or if I'm going to ask this tile man if he knows of a painter who would be honest and not rip me off and who'd be good. And I'll get a backup bid in case something happens to me. But otherwise, slow and steady wins the race. That has been sort of a temporal motto. I have spiritual mottos to get me through. God provides is a big one. Just adore Him is an early on one, I was told. I'll have to think of some of the others. But anyway, I have spiritual things that I say that I know God will provide for me and help me. And I'll just see how it goes. But I don't want another day like this of texts pressuring. And then the stress of her being upset. I don't want it to be consternation time around here, where she is in upset and resentful that I don't want her to do it, that I'm rejecting her help. But she may be. But this isn't working. I can tell. Unless I really truly, but I thought it would be, if it would be fun, and if she would have a good holy purpose and I can't dictate that of another. But this house and my other houses have all been done for Jesus Christ, for the Lord, and for whoever is going to move in as prayer, and not because of somebody's temperament that cannot cope with things not being on her time frame, which is turning out to be quite similar of an attitude as the HOA men. That it's not about the process or the product, but about their own created rules of how they think it needs to be. Just get it done. Nothing matters but getting it done on their time frame, not God's, and not by me, who's supposed to be doing work, and work has to have work forced. She's, oh, you have your gardens. Well, they're all in. There's, very little maintenance. I didn't get moonrise pruned today, but I was too worn out. Couldn't do anything. So other than rest. And I went out, what did I plant? I planted a beautiful coral flower down on the one end of that little strip across the front. That's what I did. And walked the dogs around in the front yard some. So anyway, that's what I've come to. And I need the space to be alone with the Lord. I need that. My hermit time. And not under duress. Freedom. Freedom of relationship with my spouse. So, I'm praying. I've already prayed with the pups. We pray every night. Put my hand on their heads and we pray. I do the talking. They do the listening. And that God would help me navigate this without insulting or, she can think whatever, I guess, that I'm really nutso for not. And at this point, I don't know if maybe she's been one to complain. But I don't think so. I really don't. She's at heart a lovely person. She just doesn't understand what I thought she understood of me. And I can't expect that of others. So, except maybe of Gregory of Narek. So here's prayer 2. This one has the subtitle, the focus, grant the mercy of your grace. And it's longer, but there are 2 sections in this, and they're about equal in length, and they each have their focus. Oh, no, wait. Seeing 3. 4. Yes, 4 sections, but they each have their connection and their focus that have to do with asking God, speaking with God from the depths of the heart. Another of the repeated supplications with sighing by the same keeper of the vigil. Gregory was having a vigil, waiting on the Lord. Grant the mercy of your grace. And now, since you are calling with articulate lips on God Most High, who is drawn to deeds alone and is not swayed by creative words, you, my sinful soul, with a heart always inclined toward Egypt, to what similar or analogous things shall I compare you? I am punished along with Sodom's destruction, have charges brought against me by Nineveh's prosecutors, am more timorous and barbarous than the queen of the south. More despicable than Canaan, more obstinate than Amalek, incurable as the city of idols, a remnant from the rebellion of ancient Israel, a reminder of the broken covenant of Judah, more reproved than Tyre, more shunned than Sidon, more depraved than Galilee, more unpardonable than faithless Capernaum, deplored like Chorazin, slandered with Bethsaida, shameless like Ephraim as he grayed, a dove always known for feeble-mindedness instead of peace, a dreadful serpent hatched among lions' cubs, like cobra's eggs filled with rot. I am an image of Jerusalem after the last calamity, as in the saying of the Lord and the oracles of the seers, a rejected tabernacle about to be destroyed, a stronghold with broken gates, myself a doubly filthy creature, though capable of speech. Having relinquished my rightful inheritance, having turned my back to the house built by God, as Moses, David, and Jeremiah wrote early on, a rational edifice infected with leprosy, chastened by itching, stimulated by the law, smeared with the mildly soothing clay, still unable to find a cure, torn apart yet again by the Creator's hand, thrown out into an unclean place. This I just reward by the order of the Almighty, rejected, driven a great distance away, spared by none, having buried my coin in the ground of wickedness, as did the one denounced for wasting his trust, pointed out in the gospel. I'm going to go ahead and read 2.2. But you, God, God of souls and all flesh, as professed by one divinely graced, you are forbearing and abounding in mercy, in accordance with the plea of the saintly Jonah. Grant that I complete to your delight by your holy will this prayer book of lamentation now begun. And having sown these words tearfully, and set forth on this path toward the dwellings you have prepared, may I joyfully arrive in the time of harvest with the return of the bounty of atonement, with the blessed fruit of the goodly sheaves. O most compassionate Lord, do not give me a barren heart like the childless womb that was Israel's, and eyes like dry breasts. But hear me, a rational supplicant, O mighty and merciful one, who were before the heavens, and the heavens before, the earth and that before Jezreel's wheat, wine, and oil. May the pleadings of the heavenly ones, who are with you, have their influence upon my soul more than upon perishable elements. You are the Creator, and I am the clay. At the start of these prayers, with sighs, may I be strengthened by your kind will even here, so that I, a waverer, might not be found unfit to enjoy the edification by your light, when the heavens open, that I might not be consumed like the substance of a candle, and be snuffed out. As a narrator cries out in prayer, O breath for the ill-treated person, give strength to the faint-hearted like me, and life to one worn out by a bothered conscience. Relieve my anguish, for I seek you earnestly. Receive these repeated supplications, and grant the mercy of your grace. Accept this trifle from a weakling like myself, and provide the major portion yourself, Almighty. Strengthen my words of contrition, having sent us the Spirit from on high, with messages imbued with the breath of God, to rest upon these things set forth. Grant, benevolent Lord, that we might be enlightened in the truth, like Isaiah. Bestow upon me, although I am deserving of death, the gold of grace, instead of the brass of an ignoble sound, instead of the blackness of unadorned iron, the gloss of bronze burnished in Lebanon, symbolic of virtue. So beautiful. And it is, a lot of it is based on the notion that the soul is eternal compared to the perishable wheat, wine, and oil. And also, light is one of the most frequently recurring words in the prayers. It is this unapproachable light that enables the mystic's vision of God. Not that God is defined as light. This is only a metaphor for God, whose image could not be drawn. So he uses light. And also, in another part of this, words that were utilized in an early 4th century hymn for the exaltation of the Holy Cross were these Armenian hymns. So that is interesting, that he called upon a 4th century hymn when he wrote this in the 11th century. Well, he talks about future prayers in this other section here of the footnotes. But let's see what else we have here. Well, since the law is linked with sin and death in Romans 7:1, he contrasts with the law of the Spirit, which gives light. And he does that back in this line here. Wait, am I in the right spot here? Yes, I was. A rational edifice infected with leprosy, chastened by itching, stimulated by the law, smeared with the mildly soothing clay, still unable to find a cure. See, this just relates with me this last week. No cure for the arachnoiditis, no way he can help. Even the chastened by itching, stimulated by the law. The itching is stimulated by the law and not by the grace of the Spirit, see. Jesus brings the Spirit to us, the Holy Spirit, the Paraclete. And so, torn apart yet again by the Creator's hand, thrown out into an unclean place. This my just reward by order of the Almighty, rejected, driven a great distance away, spared by none. See, I feel like everyone's coming at me from so many directions. Having buried my coin in the ground of wickedness, as did the one denounced for wasting his trust. Pointed out in the gospel, that's from that scripture, where the one servant, he gave a coin to the one, and 2 to another, and 5 to another, and the one with just the one was so scared he would lose it that he buried it, did nothing to make more, to bring fruit out of it, or to be productive with it. So he wasted his trust. Anyway, even talking about, the clay, that in ancient times, medical properties in clay, in dirt. And it's true to this day. There are minerals and elements that go into the skin even when you use your hands in soil. So let's see what else he has to say in his. We mentioned the 4th century hymn and light. Let's see what else. This footnote here. Well, this is the one that talks about future prayers that he writes. Also, have more of a sacrificial offering effect, sacrificial offering of self to God, and where Gregory asks God to treasure his book in the heavenly temple and to breathe in the scent of the bloodless sacrifice of words. He's considering his words a sacrifice, a bloodless sacrifice. Pleasing, he wants to please the Lord. These supplications, these prayers, an almost systematic reflection on the divine liturgy, it said here, is his book of Lamentations, where he calls again and again upon the Spirit to descend and to help. And this time it was for grace, asking for divine grace. So, if I should read this again. Well, I think you have it. You can rewind the video. Don't want to get these so long. But he's accepting, like I am, of my destitution as a person, of my losses, of my ineptitude, of, like I said, feeling like people are coming from all directions who do not understand where I am and the needs I have, that it's not all about me, but I am in this position of great challenges in my life right now, medically even, and of suffering, of needing to adapt and to accept and to be able to increasingly handle higher and higher levels of pain, plus the unknowns of how my brain is altered and will continue to alter. So it's in my situation as a hermit of, well, it'll be 26 years in September. My go-to always is God, and God in solitude. And, here was this older woman needing to come talk. Hermits are to be hospitable. And I realized, that it was best to have her come. Have her come. I thought, but I wasn't myself settled. But at least we found that we each have, she saw my book here, my big fat Hildegard book, Hildegard Bingen. Whoops, there it is. And she loves Hildegard, as do I. And I thought I had more books of her, but then I didn't. I have lots of Gertrude and others. Prior, the Dark Ages I have of different saintly women. But I offered this and she didn't want to take it now. Well, she's leaving in 10 days. But and she is having eye trouble. So yes, I'd forgotten about that. So maybe she was hesitant. But when we are under assault or going through changes that the devil is using as an open door to get at us all the more, and people that we love and care about also are being used, but not taken over, not oppressed by any means. The HOA men may be oppressed in my situation, but not my neighbor woman. She genuinely wants to help, but it's from her own issue of her own need and liking things right now. And not even wanting to wait till Monday where I could be freed from the thought that it's going to take and the focus to do the stonework, especially with the men being able to watch my progress. The two HOA men just live down the street and can see. The one can see directly. Anytime he wants, he can just step out his front door. It's at such an angle he can see my house. So that puts a little added pressure because they are also angry and frustrated that I don't have contractors, men doing all the work, and contractors, or even the handyman who doesn't have any more skill in stonework than I do. So, and I wasn't impressed with his framing by any means. He didn't shim, So now I have to fill in and work out the shower better, the shower opening. It has a big bow in the wall where, so made me more work. So, I'm dealing with people's mindsets and their convictions and their rules. People who don't go by God's rules or understand that God is in charge of time and God wants it how He wants things. With our hearts given in a project, our prayers with intention for the project, holiness woven in and out, holiness in the mortar, holiness in the fake stones. So I'm approaching it totally different. Of course I would. I'm a consecrated Christian hermit and Catholic and mystic, which many hermits are not mystics. So maybe that seems strange. Maybe that's part of the problem with this other hermit lady, with my fellow hermit, who has been bothered by me for 18 years now. Will be in August 18 years, or longer even. Well, 2007. So 18. Mystics are different creatures. I have to admit, but we're human. And shouldn't be that much of a problem for anyone, really, but it happens that way. So I'm feeling it with Gregory of needing God's grace and recognizing my flaws and my wrongs. The criticisms I've given, there's always, or usually always, elements of truth in them. When people criticize us, I can usually find elements of truth, if not direct truth. Yes, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. But then also there may be reasons why I did my video site like this, very open. And for this very reason, I've hit a horrible time period now, a struggle, darkness, bleakness, upset, misunderstanding from right and left. There's a psalm, I think, or maybe it's on Isaiah, the people are lurking out in the in the byways and the highways, and they're pointing their fingers, and there's different scriptures that also express prophets went through this, weren't acceptable, seemed strange, and what they did, somehow felt different to people, other people. But to the prophet or to the mystic, it seems perfectly natural and okay. So we deal with that. So much misunderstanding. And because people get into a rut of how they view things, we need to keep striving to view as God views. And I can't say I'm there in all aspects. But I don't see people's houses or other things as anything much of my business, or even notice if they're doing work, how long it takes to get the work done. I don't pay attention to those things, and that's always been. It's not due to having memory blackouts. It's just not. Why? What's the point? Why fill the mind with that? Or keep track of something so temporal and tangible and mundane? It'll get done or it won't get done, or it's like how they like it or it isn't, or It's all fine to me. But I do just so relate with this prayer also. Let not my negligible labor be fruitless, like that of the planter vainly sowing the barren ground. When I do my work, I want it to be spiritually worthy and fruitful spiritually, that the prayers I'm doing, and that I'm well enough to think as clearly as possible and to delight in the communication going on with God, because it's God that does the work using me. And others may not have that perspective and aren't open to it. Doesn't seem so. It's let's just get this done. We can wrap this up in a day. Knock it out. That was the word. We can knock this out in a day. And I said, well, two coats, how long does it take to dry between? It just sort of endless, feels endless. And we're on different wavelengths on the whole thing. And it's, feels like, the cloud. The cloud is over without raining. We proceed without arriving. All these different aspects of this prayer. That went ahead a little bit, but I already read that part about chastened by itching, stimulated by the law, smeared with a mildly soothing clay, still unable to find a cure, torn apart yet again by the Creator's hand, thrown out into an unclean place. This my just reward by the order of the Almighty, rejected, driven a great distance away, spared by none, having buried my coin in the ground of wickedness, as did one denounced for wasting his trust, pointed out in the gospel. But you, God, God of souls and all flesh, as professed by one divinely graced, you are forbearing and abounding in mercy, in accordance with the plea of the saintly Jonah. Grant that I complete to your delight, by your holy will, this prayer book of lamentation now begun. He's asking blessings for his project. I'm asking blessings for getting the stone up and for painting the house, which are two things that the HOA want. And I want. Not that I don't want. For pity's sakes, it hasn't even been warm enough to paint for that long. And now it's going to get too hot to paint, so I'll have to do it early, which is good. That will force me up earlier. I have a hard time getting up, especially if I don't sleep well at night. But this will force me. And I don't know how long I'll have until the heat will affect my pain, because heat does any change in barometric pressure. But I want a chance. Grant that I complete to your delight by your holy will my house. Be your holy will, Lord. And having sown these words tearfully and set forth on this path toward the dwellings you have prepared, may I arrive joyfully in the time of harvest with the return of the bounty of atonement, with the blessed fruit of the goodly sheaves. Help me be fruitful, Lord, in whatever ways, but I want to do my best, and I would like to be able to do what the neurosurgeon wants also, what's needed to help arachnoiditis not progress even faster, and hopefully my brain too, by keeping it occupied with tasks that require effort and focus. and bodily strength. O most compassionate Lord, do not give me a barren heart like the childless womb that was Israel's, and eyes like dry breasts. But hear me, a rational supplicant, O mighty and merciful one, who were before the heavens, and the heavens before the earth, and that before Jezreel's wheat, wine, and oil. May the pleadings of the heavenly ones who are with you have their influence upon my soul more than upon perishable elements. You are the Creator, and I am the clay. Giving myself fully to God to work all of this out, and also help me have enough rest again that I can get on top of the pain and get my mind settled down and focused on God, and not on all this earthly, temporal chaos, confusion, and catastrophe. So at the start of these prayers with sighs, may I be strengthened by your kind will, even here, so that I, a waverer, might not be found unfit to enjoy the edification by your light. When the heavens open, that I might be consumed like the substance of a candle and be snuffed out. I'm thinking of Carol and her lighting her candles every night to help with this dark period. So grateful. Many of us may be in some dark period. Definitely we all have them. But I've been in one for a while now. Not that long, but long enough. Well, really, since the HOA man did the verbal assault. It will be 3 weeks ago this coming Monday. As the narrator cries out in prayer, O breath for the ill-treated person, give strength to the faint-hearted like me, and life to one worn out by bothered conscience. Relieve my anguish, for I seek you earnestly. I do. Receive these repeated supplications, and grant the mercy of your grace. Accept this trifle from a weakling like myself, and provide the major portion yourself, Almighty. Strengthen my words of contrition, having sent us the Spirit from on high, with messages imbued with the breath of God, to rest upon these things set forth. Grant, benevolent Lord, that we may be enlightened in the truth, like Isaiah. Bestow upon me, although I am deserving of death, the gold of grace, instead of the brass of ignoble sound, instead of the blackness of unadorned iron, the gloss of bronze, burnished in Lebanon, symbols of virtue. He's a wordsmith for sure, isn't he? Gregory is. And so heartfelt, so humble. But he turns to God, and he's doing this writing for God, his prayers of supplication, his book of lamentations. And someday, God willing and body able, I too want to do the writing. We'll just see what happens. See what I can get accomplished in like 3 hours a day. And we'll see if my dear loving neighbor woman is willing to let me have a little bit of a breather of doing what I need to do when I should do it, and then move on to do for God. God bless his real presence in us. Lord, grant us the grace. Grant us God's grace. Have a beautiful night and day. Whatever day and night you have, may it be blessed by God always.